John Carpenter's Halloween might be the most important horror film ever made. It launched the slasher genre as we know it, which exploded in the 80s and is still very popular today. But what if people resonate with Halloween for deeper reasons? Are there deeper truths that we can learn from the film about human nature? What does Michael Myers, evil incarnate, teach us about good and evil? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Redeeming Horror, and let's explore Halloween together. Dr. Loomis was Michael's doctor for 15 years. He spent the first 8 trying to reach him, and he spent the last 7 trying to make sure that he stayed locked up, because Dr. Loomis determined that Michael Myers is pure evil.
Because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Loomis knew this before Michael went on his killing spree in 1978. He believed this before the town of Haddonfield gathered as a mob 40 years later, saying the same thing.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
There was something about being in the room with Michael Myers, looking him in the eye, that convinced Loomis that he is evil. So the first big question for us to consider is, if Michael Myers is pure evil, where did this evil come from? Something happened on that Halloween night in 1963. He left his house with his sister to go trick-or-treating. By all accounts, a completely normal 6-year-old boy. But something happened in those streets that night. Somehow, he encountered evil. Maybe he saw something. Maybe something saw him. Maybe he became possessed. Or did the evil come from within? Was the evil in Michael the entire time? Was he born with it? The opening scene follows someone in a mask who turns out to be 6-year-old Michael Myers, who stalks and stabs his older teenage sister in her room. Then he goes outside to meet his confused parents who just returned home from a Halloween party, and they're staring at him, not yet sure what he'd done, not sure why he's holding a knife, and they see their son emotionless, not fully there. And that scene tells us something. Young Michael Myers was born and raised in a normal home with normal parents. Yet something happened. Evil got a hold of him that led him to murder his sister. Where did this evil come from? Let's take a quick theology segue. The Christian tradition has a belief that much of evil comes from within. St. Augustine, an early influential Christian bishop and theologian, introduced to us the idea of peccatum originale, or original sin. Augustine taught that all God created is good. But to quote Augustine, through the sin of the first man, Adam, which came from his free will, our nature became corrupted and ruined. Now that tells us a lot, but let's zone in on one thing for our purposes. Sin and evil isn't just something out there, but it's something from within. We are born sinners. Psalm 51:5 says, I am sinful at birth. From my mother's womb, I was sinful. We are born with the capacity for sin. We were born with it. Back to Michael. Was this evil always in him? And how terrifying would that be? One reason that Rob Zombie's Halloween readaptation that came out in 2007 fell flat with so many Halloween fans is because he tried to explain away Michael's evil. Now, I respect his approach and how he tried to do something different, but making Michael's evil more about the environment, more about nurture instead of nature, strips away the main point of Michael. He's pure evil. No nurturing environment can create such pure evil. Something happened on that 1963 Halloween night outside of the hands of humanity that turned him into pure evil. Maybe it grew from within, maybe it came from without, but Michael is pure evil in the flesh on that Halloween. If you remember the Christmas story, on the first Christmas night when Jesus was born, God became flesh, wrapping his identity, his goodness in human flesh. And on that Halloween night in 1963, pure evil took on flesh. Michael Myers died, and the shape was born, an inversion of the incarnation itself. evil became flesh and dwelled among us. Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this video, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to Redeeming Horror. I believe horror is often misunderstood in faith circles and want to show that the light shines brightest in the dark. And we're just getting started. We honor horror stories for what they are, but watch and discuss them through a Christian lens. And I'd love for you to join us for this journey. Another important part of Michael's identity is his mask. John Carpenter said that the mask was a last-minute addition. They'd planned to use a clown mask, but decided on the Shatner mask and painted it, and it's even more terrifying. And I've always struggled to put my finger on what's so terrifying about it. Usually the scary masks are the monster masks or the leather face mask, but there's something else going on with this mask. The blank face is horrific in several ways. It's horrific in how emotionless it is. It's also ghost-like, and I still think the scenes when he comes up behind his victims with his mask being the first thing that you see is one of the scariest and best in all of horror. It's also almost like a canvas that you can project your own fears onto. Maybe Michael's mask and his evil haunts and points to fears deeper within us. It's a canvas for us to paint everything terrifying in the world, and Michael embodies it all. He is, after all, pure evil. Maybe he's a sacrament of all the fear and evil in the world, made tangible by his mask. It's kind of like a mirror. Mirrors and windows are very prominent in Halloween. The very first murder was Michael's sister Judith, as she was sitting in front of a mirror, brushing her hair while looking at her face. Michael kills her while wearing a mask covering his own face. 4 of the first 5 scenes when Michael sees Lorie for the first time are through a window. He saw her first through the door window at the Myers house when she dropped off the keys. Through the window at Lorie's school when she's in class and he's standing by the car in the street. Through the car window when he stalks the 3 girls, including Lorie, who are headed home from school. And through her bedroom window by the hanging sheets outside of her yard when Michael is in her yard stalking her. In Halloween 2, when it's revealed that Michael is actually Lorie's sister, there's a brief scene when she visited him as a young boy at the psych ward, and she finds him staring blankly out of a window. And in the 2018 follow-up film, 40 years later, the first time Lorie sees him after escaping, she sees Michael in an upstairs bedroom looking into a mirror. And finally, in Halloween Kills, after killing Lorie Strode's daughter Karen, he stares out of the window of his sister's bedroom. Or is he staring at the reflection of himself? And what does he see? Haddonfield or his own evil? And not to get too far off base, but another one of John Carpenter's horror films, The Prince of Darkness, it's a movie about trying to unleash Satan himself into the human world through a portal. And that portal of Satan entering to the world is, you guessed it, a mirror. What's with the blank mask? What's with windows and mirrors? Maybe a better question is, does it see evil when it looks out? Or does it see evil reflecting back in? Another interesting thing about Michael is that he doesn't speak. Loomis says that he can never get him to speak a single word over 15 years of working with him. Michael doesn't speak because evil has nothing to say. No good news. And he doesn't even speak bad news because he's the embodiment of evil. Another brief theology segue, if we will. Scripture often speaks of goodness as something spoken. Jesus comes on the scene in the Gospel of John as a word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Christianity talks often about the Word, about preaching, and about the gospel, which is called good news. It's something that's spoken. Jesus came to teach and preach, and his words to his disciples, his very final words to his disciples is this: "Go therefore and make disciples, preaching the gospel to all the earth." And what's the opposite of the gospel? Silence. If Christ is the Word, the spoken expression of truth and life, then Michael, as evil incarnate, is the opposite. Silence, void, absent of meaning. With Michael, silence became flesh and dwelt among us. One final note about Michael, and it's a question of debate on Reddit and among Halloween fans since it released. Is Michael human or is Michael supernatural? We've already addressed some of that, but I think the big reveal at the end of the film is that he is indeed supernatural. We see hints of it throughout the film. He disappears in Lorie's yard. He causes doors to open and slam without touching them. But the great reveal is when, after Loomis fires 6 rounds into him and he falls from the balcony, he disappears. He's supernatural, the incarnation of evil in the world, and no mere man can kill him. And in the same way that Jesus dies and rises from the grave on the 3rd day, Michael was killed 3 times, twice by Lorie and once by Dr. Loomis, and did not die. Bottom line, Michael is in some sense supernatural, the opposite of the incarnation of Jesus. That's the revelation at the end of the 1978 Halloween film. He's not just a man, but he is the embodiment of pure evil. Let's close out briefly with Lorie Strode. Lorie is Michael's opposite in the film. While she's not a saint, she portrays goodness in various ways. She portrays goodness through caring for the children. She's one of the first final girls, which all have a history of being the better, more moral girls in the horror films. When she's worried about her friends, she walks across the street to check on them, putting herself in danger. But what makes her Michael's opposite is that she fights back against evil. Perhaps Lorie's story is one of spending life with evil around, but constantly trying to resist it. In the end, John Carpenter's Halloween isn't just about a mass killer. It's about evil taking on flesh and revealing itself for one night. It's a great reminder for us here at Redeeming Horror that evil exists, that evil is out to harm us. But we must resist because light shines brightest in the dark.